It's Sunday. It's 7 or 10 where you're from. It's Blast or Session time. This is the first time catching the show. What we do is we read up the book for the week and we talk about them. Here we blast the books we don't like. We stash the ones we do like. But before we get jumping on into those reviews, if you like us, give us a thumbs up, give us a share, give us a shout out on Twitter. If you'd like to support us financially, you're more than welcome to. We do give away some great stuff. Let me find it here. Oh, I was going to screen share. That's what I was going to do. Yes, screen share. So, where is it? There it is. You could check us out. Go over to Teespring and check out some of the lines of shirts we have over there. Right now, you get 20% off of the shirts. You put Holiday 20 in there. So if you'd like to go get a T-shirt, support Blast Stash, you can do it that way. Or the other way is through Patreon right here. So you go through Patreon. Go get some good books. We try to give away some good books each month. Like this was the book for October. We're not going to do the announcement tonight. We'll do that next week for the November book. But definitely go check us out over on Patreon. Links for all this stuff is down below. Make sure you go do that. What'll it be? I don't know. Anybody even knows what that is from? Nutty Professor. So we'll go ahead and jump back into the reviews. Whoa, we went big there. What do you want to do? Ooh, that's nope. I have the wrong date in there.
Let's go. Yeah, I was about to say. I thought these books were from the. I thought maybe I jumped in time or something.
No, I just did not edit that backside though. We'll jump into the books and we'll start with Joe.
Well, real quick, let's say hi to the room. We got Caffeinated Comics in the chat room there saying, "Hey, what's up, team? What's up, brother?" And we got Double S. He is also in the room. He says, "Hey, Huey and Joey, Teespring to buy a T-shirt, Huey. I like it. Yes, definitely get that." Choking Raccoons one because that is hilarious. And we also got Mastodon. Hey, Mastodon, what's going on? Haven't seen you in a while, buddy. Hope you're having a good night.
You get to chat a lot sooner than I do. I don't know what the heck.
It doesn't because my internet isn't run by a bunch of squirrels running around a wheel.
Or let's see, we have my son playing something next door. We got my daughter playing The Sims. She made our whole family on The Sims. And so now we all 8 of us live in this tiny little 2-bedroom, 2-bath house, and they're constantly fighting over who gets to use the bathroom and everything else. So it's crazy. She was showing it to me tonight. And my wife's probably playing Fortnite. So we got internet up the wazoo here at my house. So maybe that's why it's not kicking in.
Maybe.
But, before we do get to the books, how was your Thanksgiving? Was it good?
My Thanksgiving was awesome. And just in case my niece and nephew are watching what's going on, Ryan and Ava, I had a great time. Uncle Joey, you brought me magical juice. I showed you magical tricks. That's the deal when I meet people. So it was good.
Magical juice being alcohol?
Yeah, adult magical juice.
Okay.
Makes everything better.
And we didn't have as many people over as we had in the past because most of my kids now have moved out and kind of doing their own thing. So we were a little shorthanded. My wife's like, invite somebody. Come on, we need more people. But we had actually a pretty low key Thanksgiving. We just had in-laws and one of my daughters who lives locally came with one friend of hers. But it was pretty chill Thanksgiving now. Okay, jump into the books. Joe, go ahead and give us a start. You want to blast?
Right.
Or stash something?
Go ahead and talk about the most interesting thing I read this week. Fantastic Four and Negative Zone. This was very interesting. This had to deal with Reed Richards again, pushing the limits of science and never asking should he. Apparently, he sent some bacteria into the negative zone and they evolved, and somebody touched it and left their DNA imprint on it. Reed Richards come back. They recognize him as a god, which was weird, but they hate him because he abandoned them. So then the question ultimately becomes, of course, they got to fight him because they can't have him come back to Earth. But then the ultimate ethical question happens is well, why are we keeping a sample of them? Right? And he brought up the really good actual case of cowpox and smallpox and how that whole thing happened. I'm not going to bore you with the history of it, but there's a whole thing there. And the ethical question being is should he have done this in the first place without asking why? Or considering the ramifications of it. And I really liked that aspect of it. I thought it brought a new depth to it because Reed Richards is always just kind of going out there doing his own thing. And it genuinely comes back to bite everybody in the ass. And really in this one too, guys are having to leave to go into space to fight something that he created. And is that really fair? And I don't think ethics actually deal in the good or bad of things. That's why we have morals and morality. But it does deal with what's your responsibility towards things, and or is it everybody's responsibility? I think that deals more on the ethics side of it. So this was really good. I really liked it. It was a pretty good story. It's a stash for me just for the story. Will I be picking up a whole lot of this? Again, it's going to be one of those things. If I'm under budget and I'm picking up comic books, yeah. If not, I pretty much got the point from this one, and that was good enough for me.
Yeah, I think, was this just a one and done, a one shot?
I'm not sure. I think they're going to be doing a couple of things with the negatives, though, because there was a lot going on in there. There's still a lot of questions.
Yeah, and then it also had a backup story with the Fantastics.
Yeah, that's a thing for some reason.
Yeah, I read through that one too. I was like, what the hell is this? So I don't know a whole lot about the Fantastics. I did read that story, and there's the whole dilemma of, so Reed Richards signs off the Fantastic Baxter bill to the Fantastic to use now.
I have the issue where he did that, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
And the one girl's deciding, like, we should sell it. We should donate the money to homeless shelters. And I thought, wow, you just got given this whole big building, and the first thing is, do you want to sell it? And that whole story is about, should we be the good guys? Should we be the bad guys? Because Fantastic Four kind of are the good guys. We're just kind of mediocre.
Yeah. What's our place in this whole hero thing? Yeah.
But they do kind of embrace that mediocre role they have. They're helping people change tires. They're helping with the cat in the tree. They're doing all those things. And then when the big thing does happen, I think it was the Ultimate Scroll shows up. They're kind of backing off, and they're like, wait a minute, I think the Fantastic Four should handle this, not us, because we're not the pros here. We're not the A-team here. But they all decide that they're going to do the right thing and go ahead and give it a shot anyhow. And that's how that story ends too. Overall, I like the first one a lot better. The first story a lot better than that second backup story for sure. Yeah. What's crazy about that? I am listening to the Stand right now on audiobook. That's the book I listen to back and forth to work. And it talks about viruses and all that fun stuff, and that actually brought that up. But overall, I thought that was a pretty good story. I thought it was decent. I like the fact on that first story when Sue Storm has that thing on her chest. That kind of protecting, putting the force field on so they can't get detected, and the whole plan was to have to get it blasted off so they get detected, and all of a sudden their enemies would show up and dispatch of the planet that felt a little somber, a little sad for itself for getting left behind. Okay, I'm gonna talk about an indie book. I'm gonna talk about like superheroes. This is called Last Stop. This is by Scout Comics. And what this is about the last superhuman ever. They went through a big war. He is the very last one. And we find out that he's part of like a police force. He continues like to bust in ahead of time before the rest of the squad. And people are getting pissed off at him because he's trying to take that glory from him. Like, dude, you're part of the team. You need to knock it off. We find out, though, that this guy actually has a tumor, and he's probably on the verge of dying. They only give him like a few months, but he's just really kind of just chill with it, and he's very accepting of it because he doesn't find a challenge or anything anymore because he's the last superhero, and there's no villains worth fighting really anymore. Until one of his old arch nemesis from the war, which we thought was dead, shows back up. Now he has a reason to fight again. So he puts his suit back on to go to bust in there, but it's a trap. He's getting his ass kicked pretty dang bad. And but it's actually not too bad. I actually enjoyed the heck out of it. Got some decent humor in there. The art's it's got that 4-color art where it's like blues, reds, white, blacks. There's no other variation really behind that. But overall, the story was pretty good. I do like the aspect of it's not the first time we've heard of a superhero having some kind of medical condition that they're on the verge of dying and they need to do this one last thing before they kick the bucket. But this wasn't too bad. The only thing that they're doing with Scout Comics too is releasing no single issue, and then like 2 months later, singing the whole trade paperback. Yeah. So not doing more floppies. This is just a single issue coming out. So this is stash for me. That's Last Stop by Scout, Trey Walker, and Hoyt Silva on that.
Real quick in the chat, we got Mastodon Comics says my daughter does the same thing. Only 4 of us. He's talking about Back to the Sims, which you were playing. Caffeinated Comics hopes we had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We definitely did. Wait, Mr. Gretzky's in the room. I haven't seen him in forever. What's going on, man? Yeah. It's good to see you too. I've been watching some of your hauls here lately. Sorry I haven't commented. Jacko's in the room. Of course, he ain't gonna let us down. He wants to know what's up, giving us a thumbs up. That's really cool of you. So let's talk about strippers.
I can do. I don't think my wife's watching. I can watch. We talk about strippers.
I didn't say let's see strippers. Let's talk about strippers. Let's talk about how Miss Freeze is a stripper. If you watched my show, you would know where I'm going with this. So yeah, Detective Comics. So yeah, she's independent. She don't need no man. She dresses like a stripper, and she stabs Mr. Freeze in the neck after he helps her. Like this.
Wow.
Straight up stripper dude right there. Like, so yeah, this is still garbage. Like, I'm really, I can't help but buy it just to see what kind of ridiculousness is going to come out of this. It's a hard blast for me, but it's just absolutely ridiculous how much she hates Mr. Freeze. Although I did find the ending very sad. Like, it was so sad because even Batman's like, it's funny how you just ended up like your wife, only nobody's taking care of you. It's like, oh, right. I found this very predictable. The pacings is all off in this thing. The ending was extremely predictable. Getting double crossed by his wife, that's predictable as well. But now we have a female Freeze out there, Mrs. Freeze out there, freezing everybody. Cold-hearted, stabby girl. Yep. She's dead on the inside, just like a stripper.
So do they explain? Because, I mean, you think about, she was been in this cryo state forever, and Dr. Freeze, or Mr. Freeze, has been, making sure she's surviving for years and years. And then she comes out of this cryo state, and now she's this polar opposite of what she was prior to going in. Do we think that Freeze had something to do with that?
Yeah, they're saying that there's some sort of mental degeneration between Science Word and Science Word that makes no sense. So yeah, they tried to explain it off, but it's nothing that nobody's following. Truth is, she's just cold-hearted.
Oh, went there.
How many puns can I fit into this?
Oh my goodness. I want to talk about a blast. I want to talk about a book that I really wanted to like, but I absolutely hated, and that is Punisher 2099. God, this book, I mean, one, Punisher doesn't show up until like the last 2 pages,
Well, no, he was there the whole time.
He was there the whole time, but you don't know who the Punisher is.
Yeah, you no clue.
Yeah, you no clue. So we have these Thorites, it's all based on your social score too, which I didn't quite grasp that. I think if your social score goes to 0, you're kind of done, or you have no social standing.
Yeah, social standing, yeah.
But a lot of it is, again, social like this. But there's this thing that's able to record every single thing that they do. They're able to play back and do it. Play back and watch what happened. Like the guy who find out is the Punisher. According to the film, he killed an unarmed man, but he didn't remember that. He remembered the guy being armed and all this stuff. So he knew something's up. So he goes back and finds out the stuff's been altered. And yeah, I don't know. A human mind being placed into a robot that's running around screaming propaganda, about stuff. The Thorites, I guess, were okay. The Thor followers.
No, they contradicted themselves several times.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
But the guy who plays Punisher ends up finding out that there's something wrong with the police captain or chief that's he's been altering stuff, and he deserves to be punished. But other than that, I don't really care for the Punisher's design. I didn't like really any of it. I thought the art was pretty bad. The story was pretty crappy, I thought. And it's an overall blast for me. And I really, really wanted to like it. I wanted to have a new Punisher book to love, but unfortunately, this is not that Punisher book. So that's a blast for me. What'd you think of Punisher 2099?
Yeah, it's dumb. Cool cover. So yeah, we're trying to play off the tropes of, oh yeah, I did something wrong, so now I have to pay for it for the rest of my life to get some sort of redemption. Okay, we've heard that story. That's the whole Punisher motif, right?
Mm-hmm.
The problem with this story is, like you said, in the beginning, I thought the other guy was going to be the Punisher. I thought that was the Punisher the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
The guy with short hair.
Oh, he's a captain or whatever?
Yeah, I thought the captain was. Because if you listen to the way he talks and the way he describes things, it sounds more like Punisher than Punisher.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. Plus the whole military thing, the short haircut. And then, like, all of a sudden, this dude's the bad guy, and this long haired guy who's constantly whining and complaining because he thought he did something, but he wasn't sure, and so insecure of himself that he has to break in and read videotapes of himself. I was just like, oh my God, this is. Plus, it was a hard read. It's hard to follow this because I don't know. I can't describe it. I think the art has a lot to do with it. It's that scratchy kind of art. I'm not a big fan of that. But even when reading it, like at one point the dialogue's this, and then they talk this way, and then they act this way, and the Thories, or whatever the hell they're calling themselves, like they try to pass themselves off as a peaceful, loving group, and then that same panel, if you look in the background, there's two of them strangling each other in the room. And I'm like, what are you doing? What? I didn't know if that was put in there as a joke, but it didn't come off as a joke. So I was like, I don't know. This is going to the auction house. It's a hard blast for me. This is just somebody who tried to write Punisher, but wanted Punisher. You know what? Honestly, they just wanted Punisher to be somebody different. And the truth is, the Punisher is what the Punisher is. And I think that's where they kind of failed on this.
Yeah, I remember reading Punisher 2099 when the first series it came out, 93, I think is when it was. And that wasn't too bad. It wasn't as good as Punisher, but this was far worse than either one of those books by far. So.
Yeah.
Okay, you're up.
We're going to read something. All right. I'll be right back. I'm going to read a couple of comic books. And no, I'm joking. Let's talk about this. So haven't been heavily following Scream. I read the reappearance of her, I guess we can say, when the whole Absolute Carnage thing came in. And I was like, okay, it's an all right. Right? It's all right at best. And then I don't know what happened. It must have been a different writer. But I only picked this up because Scotty Young cover. Mm-hmm. My wife likes Scotty Young covers. So to keep her happy so I can keep buying comic books, I got to buy her one every now and then. And then I read this and I was like, oh my Lord, this is actually kind of scary. Like this is how you write a horror comic book, folks. This was good. You got the monster underground that's all muck, and she was talking about how easy it is to tear them apart because they're just rotting, just rot, and the whole artwork in it. Again, it's that scratchy kind of art I'm not a big fan of, but it fit this. Like, it made sense. And it was just genuinely, it was scary. It's a scary story, and it's really cool. And then, like, at first I started reading it, and I was like, okay, we're going to do the punk rock girl with mommy abandonment, family abandonment issues, yada, yada, yada. Even though dad seems like a really cool cat, whatever. She's living in homeless shelters. Aunt May's taking care of her in her homeless shelter. I thought that was a sneaky little tie-in there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, a lot of little cool nods in here. If you've been following Absolute Carnage or the current Amazing Spider-Man run, even better. If you don't know much about the character, they didn't spend a whole lot of time explaining it. They just cleverly hinted and told you kind of what she can do. Teenage girl tormented with all kinds of stuff. Mommy shows up at the end, but of course we're probably going to get a turn on that. But yeah, I enjoy this. This is a stash for me.
Yeah, this wasn't too bad. I that front splash page of the woman they pull from the water, that they call her what do they say? Street urchin, that's pretty graphic. That's pretty dang brutal for sure.
Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah, there is a lot of like zombie-esque kind of creatures in here as well. I didn't know Scream was. I guess she's like an anti-hero. She's not like a true hero. She's like an anti-hero. Because she did show up in the last issue of Absolute Carnage as one of the people that Cloak and Dagger brought. And I thought, what the hell is she doing there? I thought she was a bad guy. But yeah, this was pretty good. Yeah, I think we're going to find out too, because at the end we talk about when she meets her mom, the symbiote's like, no, because the symbiote maybe knows something's up. As maybe it's not her mom. We don't know yet. But yeah, this wasn't too bad. I don't know if I'd pick up issue 2 at cover price. I might pick it up as like a dollar ban or something like that. But the Scream character, the costume looks pretty badass. I like that, But yeah, it's a soft stash for me. I got the Art Germ cover just because Art Germ.
Also, the text in there that was being, remember they had that scrolly type of text in there. Mm-hmm. That's from Beowulf. That's Hogger's account of the monsters. That's chapter 21. Anyway,
where was that? That was
Beowulf.
No, where was it in the book?
It's the script writing towards the end.
Oh, is it?
They're talking about the monsters underwater.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Okay, I got it now.
In the chat room, real quick, we got Keep Them Coming. Double S says, I guess we got to wait for Punisher 99 to come out. Ha, ha, ha.
$29.99, yep.
$29.99. That's funny.
I think we got to. I'm going to talk about this. This was actually pretty badass. X-Force number 2. We talk about, them fighting like zombies and stuff in Scream. Very similar storyline here. So at the end of the X-Force number 1, we see that those mercenaries come on to Krakoa and they assassinate Xavier. And that's how this book starts, of course. They're planning on trying to resurrect him. They're not sure if they can do it. They're trying to get Beast to do it. And there's like, hey, man, we've only got one shot at this, essentially. We know you can do it. And you got to go with your, not with logic, with faith, essentially, is what he's got to go with on this in order to make this happen. But Wolverine really is not going to have any of it. He's going to go out and find who did it and take care of him. So he ends up going off the island to do some research, finding out who they are. Ends up going to Korea, going into and tracking these people, how they got there. But he's at the computer. He's like, stupid effing computer, stupid effing security software. He can't get in there because his skill set is not computers. His skill set is, hacking and slashing. We get the Kid Omega end up showing up. I don't know anything about Kid Omega really at all.
A little bit, not much.
But he comes there. He's a computer whiz. He got your beer. He's able to hack into stuff and get this information. And they end up going to a lab, find a lab where these clones are being made from parts, different parts. And they get attacked by some of these half-grown clones that are coming through. And Kid Omega's powers are gone. He can't do anything. He realized he can't. You talk like a psychic shotgun. He can't bring that up. He has no powers. He's trying to figure out why. Wolverine's pretty much. He got fists. You got teeth. You got feet. Use them. Don't just sit there based on your powers. Fight back. And Wolverine's hacking and slashing through a big pile of these clones. And we come to find out the reason that Kid Omega's powers aren't working is because they have Domino. And that's how the people were able to get into Krakoa. They had skin grafts from Domino. So the island recognized them as Domino when they came in. Because at the first issue of X-Force, she gets captured by that council. They find out she's a mutant. And they're holding this little stasis thing, and they're cutting skin grafts on her and applying to other people in order to get access to Krakoa. So this was actually pretty good. A lot of action, some gory art in this too. This was a stash for me, and this is by far even better than I think the X-Men title for me.
I meant to pick that up, but I got it confused with
New Mutants.
No, the one I really hate, Fallen Angels.
Oh, okay. X-Force is good.
So in the caffeinated comic book says, so wait, they killed Xavier. Yeah, he's got to die every few years, man. That's not a surprise.
Oh, did we spoil it for him? You didn't watch that episode where they talked about it?
It's a review show. That's what we do.
Yeah, X-Force. So that's been good stuff. That's because I think because Wolverine is kind of back to his badass self, No, didn't take any shit.
I want to talk about, and I remember you doing the poll show for this last haul, and you were debating on Philadelphia.
Yeah, I got
Yeah,
it.
you're gonna regret that one, son. This was good.
I have it here. I read part of it, but I didn't finish it.
Okay, good. I can't remember if you picked it up or not. So yeah, I enjoyed it. This is good. I really like this. Obviously, there's a father and son issue, but they're both detective cops. One moves to Baltimore, Maryland. One stays in Philadelphia. Dad's running down this kind of cult-like killing with people biting bodies. Notices everybody's got yellow fever, right? And that's going to become relevant later, especially with the whole Philadelphia thing, because that kind of ties into it if you know any of your history, especially with John Adams. That's going to kind of play a part of it. So son comes back, finds out, trying to figure out why dad died or what happened to dad. Come to find out, he sees these vampire things because he's on the trail or whatever. And then he goes, digs up his father to see if there's any marks or anything like that on him. And his dad's just laying there like, what took you so long, boy? It was awesome. It is just creepily drawn. It's a great story that really just gets you going. It's just great. And I absolutely enjoyed this. I don't know. I can't say enough about it. It doesn't beat you up in dialogue. It doesn't beat you up with like just over explanative art. It's just a very simple story, very easy to follow. It's an easy read. I really enjoyed this. This is good. And it's a suspense horror thriller. It's really cool. I like it. Stash.
Yeah, I got about I think halfway through it, and I was really tired, and I was trying to figure out. Okay, we got this detective here, this detective here, or the same person, So I was having a hard time trying to figure it out, and so that's why I didn't get a chance to finish reading it. And I don't know, some of that dialogue there, that's pretty tough to read. That's like that
The
cursive.
notebook writing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that can be kind of hard. But I don't know. And you're right. Again, it's that kind of weird art where it's kind of hard to follow. It's not very consistent, but I just based it off the dialogue of what was going on, and I kind of picked up on it quickly. That's why I kind of liked it. But yeah, I thought it was a great story. I enjoyed it.
Real quick in the chat too, if you guys have read any of these books, let us know what you thought of them in the chat. Just say, hey,
Read some books and you want to know what we thought about it. We got a stack of books here. Don't let your book end up in the lightning round.
yeah. Don't let you do that. Let's talk about. Oh my goodness, let's talk about this turd. This turd is by Black Mask. I really like the cover because it reminded me of Skeletor. So I'm like, I want to get that because that looks like a cool cover, And they have that saying, "Don't judge a book by its cover," and that really goes for this book here. I mean, the art's not super great on the cover either, but it just kind of reminded me of like Skeletor, right? I mean, that's what it looked like. This art in this book is. I used to have a couple blacklight posters, right? And this is what this reminds me of. It's this like blacklight poster. And the pages are like intentionally dirty on there too. So it looks like, oh wait, I got dirt on my book? No, that's just meant to be on the book. The art is again, I hate bashing on people because they put their effort and stuff into this, but the art is very, very one-dimensional. There's no depth to it at all. Like, look at that character right there. Like, he's just standing aside. I remember like friends in high school drawing like that. Maybe this is a young artist and maybe he needs to learn all that stuff. But the art was just, it was god awful. This character, he's a total badass. These three guys are outside the bar calling him out, and he just comes out and kills him pretty quickly. Then he has a friend who's a baboon who's calling for help. I have no clue. And then they go into this backstory about this she-devil or witch that had sex with this big demon and then chopped his head off and became the ruler of hell, essentially. And a big donut-looking prostate thing. I don't know what the hell that is. So, and this dude rides like a. He kind of reminds me. I'm just going to find a picture of it. Rides a bike, kind of similar to Lobo, right? You know, where's his bike? Where's a good picture of his bike? There it is, with a cobra on the front of it.
Cobra.
This is just a blacklight poster, page for page. The story is crazy. There's a baboon in a happy triangle, happy pyramid. So I don't know what the hell is going on with this book. This is a blast. I don't want to sit there and criticize the art because it's better than what I could do, for sure. Jacko says he loves the art in this book.
Now there you go. You're wrong.
But that's definitely not my kind of art style. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Silver Surfer stuff recently, a little bit too.
Yeah, that kind of over stylized art.
Yeah. Did you pick up this book, Jacko? If you did not, let me know.
Isn't that volume 2?
I don't know. It might be volume 2. But unfortunately, that's the last one, Jacko. I'm sorry. I think we just lost a person.
Well, there goes that subscriber.
Well, that's what it is.
I'm going to go ahead and talk about Action Comics. Came with this acetate cover. I don't know the point of the acetate cover. It was cool for like a minute. Now I'm over it. This is kind of a weird story. And it doesn't make much sense because in this story, they're trying to combine the events from Leviathan, the Doom War, the Superman current run, and the whole Leon character and the Red Mist and that whole thing from the Superman comic. They're trying to combine it all into this. And it was easier when you looked at them all as separate stories. Right? Yeah. But they kind of just crunched it all in here. So now a lot of questions come up. If you've been reading all of them like I've been doing, now you're like, there's no way. Like, he's fast, but you need that fast. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But whatever. So they're trying to combine all this together in there. Some interesting things came out of this. What did it come out of it? Well, one, Leviathan, that whole organization, is not going away. Jacko says, by the way, it is volume 3. I got it. Okay. And he did get it. And Pope Grimey's in the room. Man, I haven't seen Pope Grimey or JP or any of them cats over there in a while. How are you guys doing? So yeah, it was kind of a weird story to read, but the Invisible Mafia got blown up. Not Oprah Winfrey looking lady. It owns the paper. We're starting to find out more and more that she is objectively should be taken as a serious character, not just for being rich, but there's something there. And Lex Luthor kind of draws the line right there in the sand to Superman. You either give up today or I'm killing everybody. Like, he's done. The objectivism is over. And so that's where they kind of dumped us off at. So I'm really kind of sinking my teeth into this whole Perpetua story. Having some of this other stuff in it, that's fine. I'm okay with that. If I got to figure out how to combine it all together in my head, that may be a little much for any reader. But hey, what's the worst thing that can happen? I blast it. But so for right now, it's definitely a stash for me. I'm going to continue reading it. Because I just like the whole concept of Superman and all those characters.
Yeah, no, I'm not a big fan of Superman.
That's because you're not American.
Oh, I guess not. Let's talk about this. This was if you read Infinite Crisis at all, it's the storyline. It can be pretty convoluted as it is. And they try to take that and essentially cram it into kind of this, 80 pages? I don't know if it's 80 pages. The Dark Multiverse Infinite Crisis. So what they're doing here is in Infinite Crisis, Blue Beetle gets killed by Max Lord. I think it's what it is. But in this book, he survives. And he kind of he takes over OMAC. He thinks he knows what's best because he thinks that Max Lord was going to be this supreme ruler, and he's like, no, that's not how it needs to happen. I need to be able to take over and make sure it's not. But he ends up succumbing to the power, essentially becoming 100% controlled by OMAC. But yeah, definitely, this is a pretty heavy read. And a lot of stuff going on in here. Either taking over and beating all of the Justice League, because they end up saying, he talks to the main computer, which is I, and saying, hey, what's the biggest threat to this world? And the computer says Justice League. And so, okay, well, I got to kill the Justice League. So he ends up taking over, essentially consuming their bodies and turning them into soldiers for his own doing. Talk about some gory stuff, though, too. Lex Luthor ends up taking Superboy in, which was kind of manipulating him to do something that Superboy found out was wrong. And Lex Luthor's son ends up killing Clark and Martha Kent right in front of Superboy. And Superboy freaking fries him with that's pretty badass, though. Panel. And but Blue Beetle ends up taking control and essentially being the ultimate supreme being. This was pretty good. Actually, Infinite Crisis is pretty tough to read through. This could be a little daunting too, but overall the art was pretty good. This is by Tinian, who has taken over for I think he's taken over for King for Batman. If that's the case, I'm looking forward to what he's going to be able to do for Batman, because this was actually pretty good. This is actually a stash for me too. Infinite Crisis, Dark Multiverse.
Good deal.
Space. We'll read what Gore said there real quick.
Let's see. Space. Gore's in the room. Welcome, Gore. He says Space Riders has grown a cult following mainly due to the artists, especially in Europe and Canada. The writer who created it lives locally and has quit doing comic books. So that might be a collector's item. Might put your kids through school.
Maybe. I'm the bad guy because I hated it.
Let's see here. Let's talk about this. So there's been a lot of hype behind this book, and this is Basket Full of Heads. I liked the first issue. It was real slow, and it's supposed to, because it's a horror story. You've met horror movies before. They start off kind of slow. I was expecting it. I was not expecting it in the second issue. And the sad thing is, a lot of things were going on in the second issue. I just didn't find them very interesting. That's the weird part. So the escapees from the local prison have broken into the house, and there's a lot of hiding, and the girl's hiding, and the boy's disappeared. The boyfriend, right? The deputy, the guy with the gun, has disappeared. One of the prisoners corners her. She grabs the axe that we kind of got a hint about in the first issue. She lobs the dude's head off, but he doesn't die because guess what? It's a magical axe. Nobody told us it was a magical axe. It's just a magical axe, or there's no lore behind it or anything. It's just a magical axe. So I thought that was a missed opportunity in the book, but whatever. And then so the guy won't die, but she doesn't have it in her heart just to leave him in the rain while the water's coming up. And then we find out that in his body that the boyfriend's badge and gun holster are there. So we don't know what happened to the boyfriend. He's left up to us to believe that he's dead in some way. But yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe I expected more out of this. This reads more like a script now than a comic book. There's a big difference between those two things. And that's what this has kind of felt like. Somebody's pitching a movie, and it just, I don't know. I'm going to get 3 because if it's anything like other horror writers, it should be picking up right around 3 or 4. That's when we should really start getting into the mystical stuff. But for this issue, it was just a little lackluster for me. It just was not as exciting. So I'm blasting this one, but I'm picking up 3.
This was short. It was a really quick read. I mean, it was, done pretty quick. In the first issue, they do talk that the heads are talking in the basket back and forth about get your tongue off me. You remember that whole dialogue there? So I don't know. It really hadn't explained. No, We don't know why these guys are even in the house. Do you remember why they were in the house? Were they looking for?
They escaped from the prison, and they were making their way that way. How do they know that that's the sheriff's house? I don't know, but they kind of hinted that they knew that was the sheriff's house, and that they wanted to take the boyfriend to find something. Apparently,
So that makes me think, though, maybe that was another cop posing as one of the criminals, knowing that the sheriff has something of value or magic or whatever. That may not be Brody, her boyfriend's badge. Maybe he's a cop himself, disguised as a criminal to kind of hide it under there. I don't know. Maybe. But yeah, it was pretty funny. Like he's yelling and screaming at her, and then he's like, "Whoa, wait! Oh, I'm sorry. Help me out, please, help me." You know, it the whole beach ocean scene might be a creep show a little bit. You ever seen that one with Ted Danson where they bury him in the water? You know, they don't bury him, but it just kind of reminded me. Yeah. I can hold my breath for a long, long time. Yeah, this is pretty good. Of course, again, to it's Stephen King's son, so you know, hopefully he's going to have the same artistic as his father. But we'll see.
Yeah,
I'll definitely pick up issue.
Stephen King book's rough. Like, it's purposely long for no reason than to be long. Like, it's like, oh my god.
You know, when I said earlier I was listening to the audiobook of The Stand, and I guess I got the he released another cut with an extra 400 pages on it, and that's the cut that I've been listening to. So it's a lot more backstory into all the characters. I never listened to it or read the book prior, so I don't know what's extra and what's not. But do 48 hours of audiobook.
Yeah,
that's for sure. That's a long book.
That's a long read.
Okay, I got nothing new going on in the chat. Let's talk about another one that reminded me of a movie. Let's talk about Misplaced. Wow. This was a weird book. The art was, it looked like they just took photos and then they put the art over top. That's what it looks like to me, you know. Because if you look at it there, that's what it looks like. It's like a photo, and then they put Photoshop, put filters on it, and stuff like that, which I guess is an art form.
Gold, black, and reds, very heavily accented in here. Yeah.
But essentially, what I got from this book was this guy. He is in heaven. I mean, I guess that's all depends on how you define it. What is heaven? He's given everything. He wins everything. He does everything. But to him, that's not heaven, you know, because essentially it's not earned. It's just kind of given to him. But he's actually looking for his wife, too. And this one angel keeps telling him, you know, don't go outside this. You're in the perfect place. You're in, did she say Eden at one point? I think she does.
One part of the mechanical device that they live in that's called heaven. Because they mention of the gears and everything turning as well. So
but essentially he's saying he's not whole unless he finds his wife, and he needs to have that sort of sense of adventure, I guess, to it, you know, to be able to have that regardless of what this may be heaven. It's not heaven without his wife. Kind of, that's what I got from it very much. So we talked about it in the off air, what dreams may come. We got that kind of vibe from it.
Yeah.
What I thought was, well, I guess they're horse race, and I thought they were doing polo. They're talking about horse races, and so it's meaningless because you always win. But the art in here, wow. Jeez, I don't know where to go with the art. They have a tree knowledge, I think, too, as well. But he ends up foregoing heaven to go into limbo, essentially, to find his wife. But I do like how at the end, if you read the special thanks talk about to his wife, the writer and artist, that was kind of cool to have that. But man, it was freaking weird, just really weird, and it's a blast. I don't think I'd pick up issue 2. I think it's a mini series of 4 issues, and this was one I would not finish out.
That surprised me. I thought for sure you'd be getting issue 2 at least.
No,
because this is Yeah, the art's weird. I'm not used to it. I don't really care about the art. I'm not an art critic. I read things. I like the story. I think the story's interesting, or at least it's interesting enough for me to continue reading. You know, what happens if you go to heaven and then you find out it's not really what you want, like because you're not hanging out with the people you want to. I do like the whole right there at the beginning where they were kind of going over. He likes to relive the day him and his wife died. Um, and apparently they can manifest that there for him to experience it. So that was really cool. And they were going to the new world, it said. So they died a long time ago. Like a
Oh
long,
yeah, okay, New World, gotcha. Okay.
right? So they were going to America, right? I did like the surprise twist at the end where we assume the wife is trapped in a mirror. So,
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was really cool, right? So I don't know. I kind of want to check that out and see what happens. I want to see where they take this. I want to. I'm going down the rabbit hole. I want to check this out. And that's the only reason why I want to stash it is because just it's an interesting take on heaven. It's an interesting take on the whole concept of it. So yeah,
Uh-huh.
I'll read it a little bit more just out of curiosity.
Yeah, here I'm not sure if this is actually something from the Bible or whatever, or it just said once upon a time, long before there was time, there was a paradise. The center of that existence to the tree of everything. It nourished and surrounded gardens in which it returned, nourished it. All that was functioned in harmony, nature's perfect perpetual machine. Man was invented in nirvana with only one condition: respect Eden unconditionally. So I'm assuming they're going and talking about the Garden of Eden and
Yeah.
the apple and stuff like that.
Chris Barrett's in the room. What's going on? He says,
Yeah.
what are we talking about? Enjoying heaven because no one fun is there. I have that talk a lot. So yeah, misplaced. I'm gonna continue reading. I'm gonna tell you right now, you're gonna end up regretting it,
Oh, will I?
and you're gonna be like, damn, I should have kept reading that because I'm gonna type it up just even if I hate it now.
Oh, you are just to try to make me feel bad.
Yeah, because that's what I do.
Okay, you're up with your book.
That was mine.
No, that was mine. I brought it up first.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
I don't like doing things, man. You're
I
kind of
know,
bossy.
neither do I, but I do them anyhow.
Let's talk about. Let's go ahead and hit up another indie since we're in the indie stuff. A story that I've just absolutely been loving, and it has not failed me yet. Actually, there's two of them, and they're indie comics. We'll talk about this one because this is my favorite one. Show's End. I have been enjoying this. It is so great. It's got the whole Carney thing down, and this one kind of gives us a bit of a twist in this. The little girl can turn into a monster who's being hunted down. We finally meet the individual. His name's Crowley. And apparently he owned a circus at one point, and apparently the circus burned down. And because of he kind of made a deal with the devil or demons or whatever the case, supernatural, bad stuff. All right, so he kind of did that, and now he's kind of chasing down this little girl in here because apparently she's kind of like some sort of attachment to this ultimate thing that he made the deal with. They're very vague about it. I'm kind of glad they are because it makes it interesting. We also find out that the person that owns the circus with the little girl that can turn into a monster in it, well, there's a reason why they always have to go to the cemetery called Show's End to bury the bodies of the people that die in the circus or whatever. It's because he has a working deal with a group of men to redig up the bodies and sell them to oddity shows. And that's what's been paying for a lot of the show's travel and working foundation and money.
Wow.
Twigs, our guy who could swallow swords and all that other stuff, he ended up killing himself because of just the absolute loss that he had for his little friend who got shot up earlier in the show. That's what it seems like to me. This is such a good read. I could see this on television. This is good stuff. I'm really enjoying this. I like the complexity of it. Yes, there's a little girl in it that can turn into a monster, and it sounds like it should almost be a child's story. But there's a lot of complexity with the characters in here. We also find out the guy who owns the current traveling carnival, he's going to go work a deal with Crowley now and probably go work with him. So that what will that turn into? We don't know. But definitely interesting stuff here. I'm following this to the end, even if it gets crappy right now, because I'm already 4 issues in and invested in it. So yeah.
Yeah, I have number one, but I have not read it yet. It's still sitting in my to-read list, to-read pile, which grows bigger and bigger all the damn time.
Every issue that's come out, I have talked about it on this show. You need to get caught up, Slate.
I know. I will have to read. I'll have to what you would find 2 through 5. Touching Evil, another Source Point Press book. There were quite a few of those this week. This is Touching Evil, number 1, right there. Oh, Joe left. He didn't like it. Oh no.
I'll be right back.
He didn't like it. So this story here is essentially based on an attorney at the start of it, where she gets this one guy off from going to prison, and then it jumps to this prison. They talk about a ghost block. The warden's in there talking to these new fish, these new people coming into the prison, and all I could hear is that prison guard from, I think it's Cool Hand Luke. What we have here is failure to communicate. Yes. And that's this warden. He's talking to these new inmates and saying, you mess up one time, you're going to the ghost block. And who's going to be that gerbil or guinea pig going to the ghost block? That's a cool movie. Huh?
That's a cool movie.
Yeah. You're going to the shoe, boy. So then we meet this one character, and he decides he's just going to be a badass and ends up killing another inmate and going to the ghost block. But we talked about that attorney at the beginning of the book. She's sent to this prison as well, and to talk to somebody else. So the ghost block, the guy gets put in there, and they kind of turn on all the lights, and it wakes up, and there's this African-American guy, or they give him a knife, like a retractable knife, and send him in that room, the guy that killed the other inmate. And he ended up stabbing this black kid sitting on a stool right in the middle of the room. And the kid just pulls it out of his back, hands it to him. And all of a sudden now the guy is like in some kind of shattered dimension after touching this kid. And then we find out that his memory may be there, but his body's actually dead. And so this kid, this black kid who's touched him, has some kind of power, essentially, that he sends people to this shattered realm. And the attorney's actually going to go meet with him. And he touches her hand, which then, for some reason, gives her that touching power. So it's what kills people as soon as she touches them. And now she got this attorney that kills the guy that she just got off out of prison. And now she's a target for the mob, essentially, for that guy. It was kind of a weird book. I don't know who the Dan Duggery, and I don't know. No, I think I'll pass on issue 2 for sure. Touching Evil or the warnings of self-pleasure. I'm not sure what it's
Real quick, in the chat, we got Gore says in Dante's Divine Comedy, the most interesting people in history and myth. We're either in limbo or the Infernum. What comic book shop didn't have misplaced. Chris Barrett says, Gore, that's what I'm talking about. That's why I'd rather go to hell or purgatory than heaven. I think Axl Rose, who said the quote. Chris, remember Lucifer's line in Paradise Lost? I do remember that. Gore, I remember as Dante got... It just moved on me. Met cool people in hell and limbo. And finally, Gore says, better to reign in hell than serve in heaven, which, yeah, that's the famous line from it. I don't know Axel's quote. It's the same thing. He said the same thing.
Chris Barrett said he did it all for the nookie, too.
that was a douchebag that wore his hat backwards.
Yeah, that was a Limp Bizkit.
Fred Durst,
yeah.
I want to talk about this, and we've been hitting it kind of indie hard tonight, but I got to talk about this one. Again, this is another book I've been enjoying. This is Gutter Magic. This is, if you like steampunks with like wizards, right? Goblins, little creepy girls that can't die, that carry razor blades with them to cut people up. This is right up your alley. I never thought I would ever say those words in my life. I'll just be honest. This is really a fun read because what we're doing is we got a rogue scallion. His best friend's a green goblin. The Rogue Scallion's brother is like this magic prince. Everybody loves him, and he's kind of the black sheep of the family. Apparently, he's got into a little trouble with a gang called the Morgue that's run by this little girl who carries shaving razors with her, and she can't die. So the Morgue's after our Rogue Scallion. Rogue Scallion has to run away, steals Fancy Brothers' ship, and it's all steampunk looking. They're flying out there with the plan because they know the Morgue, the gang, is chasing them down. It almost looks like a scene of some sort of Sky Pirate movie. All of a sudden, a dragon comes out of nowhere because that was the whole plan the entire time. And just the dialogue in this is so great. It's like, dude, there's a dragon. And he's like, yeah, that's why I told you to bring the big gun. Like, what is going on with you? It's just fun reading. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like an adult version of Star-Lord. I always thought he was kind of kiddie. So, right. And then we got, it's just a fantastical story. They built up the universe great in this, the world building in it. And it's just beautiful artwork in it. I can't say enough about this. I don't know why more people are not reading this and talking about this. It is beautifully written. So yeah, it's a hard enjoyment for me. I not only do I stash it, I highly recommend it. It's fun to read. This was issue number. Oh, what issue was this? That's how good it is. I can't remember how many issues. This is issue 3, so you're not that far behind. My comic book shop has them. Pick them up. This is fun to read.
There's a couple of things going on in the chat. Chris Barrett said, Axel Rose said, if we got here to fair to communicate, some men you just can't reach. So you get what we had here last week, which is the way he wants, so he gets. And then Gore Vidal. Yes, Chris, he wrote it for the woman he only seen 3 times in life before she died. The enchanting, how do you pronounce that? Beatrix? Was his only way of reviving her, even though in life she was never his.
Also, Splash Page Comics and Mr. White Gloves himself is in the room. What's going on, brother?
I'm trying to remember what the hell name of this Reed Richards is, the one with the funky head.
The Maker.
Maker, thank you. Let's go write that down. So I'm talking about Venom number 20.
Yeah, let's talk about Venom number 20.
So they did kind of a recap of what happened in Absolute Carnage a little bit. How Dylan, his powers manifested and how it kind of destroyed that. And the Maker has a recording of it. He's talking about how he has blood from sample that he required from him. And he's talking about how the symbiotes have appeared through right before major events, essentially in Marvel Universe. They talk about before the Infinity Stones. They talk about Toxin before the Avengers disassemble. They talk about Scorn and Rays before the cataclysmic events, and so on and so forth. They're saying that essentially these Venom symbiotes have shown up at these weird times. The Maker he's like talking to somebody. We can't figure out who he is talking to. And then we have this touching moment between Dylan and Brock, where they kind of, Dylan realized last issue that Brock was his dad, and they kind of figure that out, and they kind of have that touching moment there. But Dylan secretly was like, in his mind, wanted to destroy his dad. I think that's what it looked like in that one panel.
No, that's where he destroyed the thing in the alley. He was having a flashback from it.
Was it a flashback, or was he talking about No More Secrets, like blowing his dad up?
No More Secrets, but he's not telling his dad that he had the power to do that. Okay, I was a little lost in that too. I looked at it quite a few times. I was like, I'm missing something. That doesn't make sense. Yeah. And then it was like, oh yeah. So I went back to that issue and I was like, yeah, that's where he blew him up in the alley. Okay.
Yeah, I remember when he blew something up in the alley, and I wasn't sure, but now I get it. He says No More Secrets. And then he thinks about keeping this secret from his dad because his dad doesn't know he has that power. Now I got it. But we find out the Maker has been talking to the the Council of Reeds. So the Reed Richards throughout different multiverses, and the Council approves him moving forward with his, the Maker's experiments. Yeah, it was pretty good. It wasn't definitely as action packed. This is building on what's going to happen next in this Venom story arc. But yeah, it was decent. What about you for Venom number 20?
Oh yeah, this issue's a blast.
It's a blast.
It's a blast.
Oh,
Look, here's my problem with it. Okay, it's the fourth time that we've taken Dylan and made him objectively different, but haven't explained why.
yeah.
We have a theory from the maker, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's the new evolution of defense for the symbiote race. Blah. Where did that come from? Why is that a thing? Right? He's supposedly the scientist, right? We should have spent more time explaining that, right, than having a council of Reed Richards sit there and debate if the makers should be there doing this anymore. Like, whatever, I don't care. It was weak at best. I thought the parts with Dylan and Eddie Brock, I thought those were touching parts. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. So you're my dad now. What do we do? Because you've been lying to me. There's been secrets. And of course, there has to be a secret now because he's uncomfortable about his being different. Yeah. Again, this can all be a metaphor for a young person going through puberty. That was the whole point of Spider-Man to begin with. But I don't know. It's just, yet again, he's different. What makes him different? Why is he different? Why put it in a kid? Like, I don't get it. How do you go from... Okay, so how do you go from Null, who's coming, right? Major event. It said in there, every major event is like a new defense for the symbiotes, right? Mm-hmm. How is putting it inside of a small child the next evolution? Like, well,
maybe he's able to grow with the kid and gain powers as he's aging. I don't know.
I don't know. Null's coming. You would think they might want to speed that process up a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know. I think it's a great story. I'm not saying I hate the entire series. I'm not saying I think the storyline's weak. I just think this particular issue is weak. I think they should have taken this in a different route. I think they should kind of just shortcut it a little bit. So yeah, that's where I'm at. That's the only reason why I'm blasting this one. I'm sure I'll love 21 and regret it next week when I read them together. But for right now, this issue is it's not for me.
So, Dylan and Eddie have to have a catch now. They have to go get a couple mitts and go play catch in the front yard.
We've had so many different little, and they keep trying to make it sound like they were hinting at it, like there's something different about him. We got it from the cover where the symbiote looked like it was the ice cream was trying to touch him, all the way back in issue 2. The smoke in the eye thing that he did, the maker making suggestive comments. Like, we get it. He's different. Okay, great. What makes him different? Like, he did this, somebody blew up. How is he able to do? What is that symbiote power exactly? I don't get that one.
Yeah.
What is he already? Just spit it out. No more secrets. Say it.
Chris said the symbiote acts their own. Why do you think Spider-Man acts so differently with the symbiote? And then it talks about the catch. Okay, that was my book. What do you got? We're close to lightning round, or you want to talk about one more book?
I don't know. You got a book you want to talk about? The rest of mine,
not really.
Pretty much lightning round stuff.
Pretty much, yeah.
I can summarize most of. Well, I'll talk about one more since we're here. Let me go ahead and pull it out. Something I'm actually interested in. So that's hard. No, let's go ahead and I'll talk about another independent. And these independents, when they come out, have actually been pretty good. Tommy Gun Wizards. I've been enjoying this series. It's a great spin on Prohibition and the Untouchable story with Ness and the whole 9 yards. It finally ended. I love that cover there. It's great. Capone gets shut down. Right, this is the last one. The Big Frog goes home. That has all the magic, or lick as they call it in here. That's the Prohibition stuff that they're probating. This ended nice, neat, and tight. Like, it was done. And that was great. And they even kind of hinted that maybe something could happen in the future, but if it doesn't, nobody's going to care. So I really liked that. I hope some more of this continues on. I hope somebody picks this up. What Tommy Gun Wizard is over. Yeah, this is the last issue right here. It only went 4 issues. But again, it's a tight ending story. I thought they did a good job. I really want to see this turn into something else, either continued issues or maybe a Netflix type of thing. The whole gangster and the illegal use of magic. was really cool in this, and how the good guys actually kind of use it, but you still had the same characters from the Untouchables there. Right? You had Sean Connery's character in the whole nine
Chicago
yards.
way.
This was beautifully written. I really enjoyed it. It's almost kind of sad that it's done. Maybe it will end up like Black Hammer. Maybe. I kind of hope it does, Chris Barrett. That would be kind of cool. Maybe one of the bigger publishers might pick it up or something. But I enjoyed it. I like gangster stuff. I'm a gangster baby. What can I say?
I'll briefly talk about this one real quick before I go into my lightning round, because the books I did not read, and this is Ogres, again by Source Point Press, another one of the books. They had a lot out this week. Essentially, there's a fight between ogres and elves over land, and the ogres are friends with dwarves, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all you have to really know about this book. There's nothing new. Yeah. There's not really a whole lot to this book. The ogre's father gets killed, dad gets killed, and the three siblings end up going to revenge his death by trying to kill the elves. They go try to get the help from the dwarf. It's a friend of theirs. And it's there's not really a whole lot to it. The art is okay, I guess. They're very cartoony. I'm trying to find a page of an ogre. An ogre, they're not like an onion in here. Although this ogre looks like Peter Boyle just a little bit.
I got that reference.
You got the not many layers?
Yeah.
Doesn't that ogre that's dead, they look like Peter Boyle when he's dressed up as Frankenstein? Or Frankenstein? Yeah, so there's not many layers to this book at all. So ogres, it's a mini series. I won't pick up the other ones, unfortunately. But that's the last book that I read. My lightning round. See, The Monster Man. This is Edgar Rice Burroughs' universe. American Mythology Productions. Didn't get a chance to read that guy. Batman Creature of the Night, Book 4. This has been such a long time since Book 3 came out. Don't know how to remember what the hell's going on. The last time the story was about the kid who thinks he's Batman, but like a monster type of Batman. So I don't know.
I've never read it.
Justice League Dark. Haven't read that one yet. I think I'm a couple issues behind on Justice League Dark now.
Oh, you need to get caught up quick.
Avengers 27. And more than a couple issues behind on that. Batman Beyond 38. That's like that cool new Batwoman cover. That's over. And I got that.
Yeah.
New Mutants #2. I can't believe I didn't pick this up because the first one was so bad. I don't know why. I guess I had ordered it, and I'm like, okay, if I ordered it, I'll buy it from you. And I got the facsimile of X-Men 266.
I got the original.
Oh, do you really? And this is pretty cool. Terry Dodson Batwoman cover too. I mean, I think Terry Dodson's a very underestimated artist by comparison. They think of like
underestimated or underrated.
Underrated. Sorry.
No, that could have worked either way. I was just wondering.
Underrated artist. I mean, if you look at Adam Hughes over that, of course, they're great. But I mean, I think Dodson does some really good stuff too. But that's my lightning round. I'm sticking to it.
All right, let's roll through some comic books. So I've been following this. I'm dedicated to this second coming thing. So basically, Satan wants back in heaven, but he kind of has a little problem with humanity in this. Sunspot, our superhero character, that's an allegory for Superman, gets blowed up, but it doesn't do anything to him by a guy who promised him some orphans. Him and his wife have been trying to have kids. That didn't work out in his favor, but apparently Satan has created a Legion of Doom, so they're gonna hopefully start coming back on that. It looks like this is going to be around for a while because it has several layers to the stories. Now you got me saying layers. God, I hate you. Okay, Justice League Dark. Cersei, we get the story of Cersei, and surprisingly, they actually follow the mythological story of her about being a very bitter and spiteful woman because of her own actions. Then it gets kind of weird with the whole witching hour thing, but we do get a lot of that witching hour stuff. It gets explained to us, and Cersei gets very much explained to us. Also, we see the Upside Down Man again, which is good because we never got a whole lot of information about that. So it looks like he's going to be playing a role in this now.
But they're going back to the Witching Hour storyline, huh?
Yeah, well, we're bouncing it. We're going to negative story image with it. So, you know, you're dealing with negative. So it happened to the good guy, right? So now it's got to happen to the bad guy.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Right. Freedom fighters. Little Hitler, the great grandson of Hitler, sets off a nuclear device to try to destroy the freedom fighters. That's how desperate he gets in this. It's crazy. I read this strictly just for the patriotism speeches from Uncle Sam. Other than that, it's an okay storyline, but I just like the speeches in it because I'm cheesy that way. Last but not least, Avengers number 27. So in the last Avengers story, we got all that stuff about Starband and what happened with the first Starband and all this other stuff. Well, something happens in space and it kind of deals with Starband. And apparently the Guardian's back in it. I know I'm spoiling this for you. Oh, well. But the Brood's now, well, how can I put it? Thor gets infected by the Brood, right? So he's turning into that. The mission goes amok. Let's just say that. They're in a lot of trouble in this issue. So if you're behind on this, you want to get this quickly as quickly as possible. Real quick, let me hit up the chat real quick. Chris Barrett's been busy. What is Tommy Guns over? Yes. Maybe it will end up like Black Hammer, of course. Phil Nato is highly underrated. I agree. We're all onions here. Yes, we're all onions here. That's our new motto. And there's you, Hitler. No, I'm not Hitler. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what you're talking about there. Little Hitler. Okay. Little Hitler like a kid, or is he an adult?
He's an adult and he's a sadist.
Does he have a mustache?
No, he's just fat, chubby, and likes to cut people.
Okay. Huh. I figured he'd have a mustache. Or I guess they really couldn't go that far anymore, could they?
Oh, yeah, there's pictures of his dad all over the place. Remember,
really?
This takes place in that alternate universe where the Nazis take over the U.S.
Yeah. Okay, so those are the books that we read this week. And before we bounce out of here, we'll talk about that's not what I wanted to do. Where is it? That's what I wanted to do.
Don't worry, folks. We're professionals here.
I try to be a professional. So talk about our Patreon. If you go to our Patreon page, the link is down below in the description. Like I said, if you like what you see here and you want to get a chance to get some cool books like the Greg Horn cover, go by and check us out on Patreon. $1 get you one entry, 2 for 2, 3 for 3. I think you get the gist of that. And go check this out over on Patreon. For $1 a month, you could put off, buying a candy bar. Okay, with a chance to win a comic, right? If you don't want to do that, you want to go buy a T-shirt, maybe support us that way. Maybe I have to make a new one and say we're all onions here. I don't know.
All onions.
I might have to do that and call it the Chris Barrett special. And so here's some T-shirts we do have. I do have the Technical Difficulties, the Graveyard. This one, I don't know if I could sell. I get in trouble for that one. That's the one with Batman on it. The Thunderlust.
Needs the one that says Thunderlust.
Thunderlust. Yeah, you've been Thunderlust. And of course, we have the Pocan Joe, which is the I click on it to make it bigger. What's it do? I guess if I click on it, it always makes it bigger, huh? Drew is wrong about X-Men shirt. Changed my mind because that shirt there too. If you're interested in that, definitely go check us out over there. Also follow us on the cool old social medias, right? And remove that from the stream and make us bigger there because we block out that wrong date that I have. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I've been not posting on Instagram a whole lot lately. I've been so busy with working 2 jobs for the holiday season. I'm surprised I'm even awake right now. All this next week, it's 8 to 4:30 one job, 6 to 11 the other one. So, busy. We thank everybody for stopping by and checking out our show tonight where we talk about these funny books. Will you blast it with a session? Happy reading,
Hold
and
on.
we'll.
Wait a sec. Whoa, 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 whoa,
What
whoa.
are you going to do?
Can I say goodbye real quick? Can I have an announcement?
Sorry, Joe. Have your announcement.
So rude. Hey, how many of you are going to be going out to the Emerald City Comic Con? We definitely want to know. Comment down below because there's a good chance the Blaster Stasher crew may be coming out to Emerald City. We're still working on the details and all that other garbage. And more than likely, we're probably going to end up having an auction here real soon to get you the books you want at the price that you like. So definitely kind of consider that if you're out in that area. And if you don't know, it's in Washington. I guess I should say that.
Washington
We're going to go out
State.
there. We're going to choke some raccoons and I don't know, probably drink craft beer from the craft of the week. I don't know. We'll find out. But if that's something that you're interested in, regardless, I'm probably going to be ended up going myself. So that will be in March. So let us know. Comment down below and we'll definitely do a meetup just like we did in Baltimore, just like we did in C2E2, just like we've done in Virginia. Definitely want to hang out and get you a couple of beers so we can chat about comic books and I don't know, be friends forever.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely I'd be going too if we get that all figured out because it's hop, skip, and a jump away for me versus going to Chicago or Dallas. I got this drive right up there, about 7 hours, I think. So, any more announcements before I rudely cut you off again?
No, sir. Please end the show.
So I did talking about that. I did make an event on the Facebook group. If you go check on it, say, yeah, hey, I'm going. And that kind of gives an idea of who's all going to be there. I think I just cut my finger with my pocket knife, played around with it. Well, you blast it with a session. Happy reading, and we'll catch you guys next week.